Um, Hello, everybody. My name is Amy Cunningham, and I have the great pleasure of being on the board of the Kellogg-Hubbard Library. And we're here today because I get to interview our co-directors and just find out a little bit. This is part of our regular co-director series, and just want to find out what's going on at our awesome library and all of the updates and changes. You guys are frozen for me right now. Can you hear me?
You just
For
unfroze.
a minute.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we're okay.
We'll keep, okay.
Yeah.
We'll keep going.
All right.
Says my internet connection is unstable, but we'll keep going. I live in Montpelier. This is my 9th year on the library board, and this year has been a really unusual year. A lot going on, and so we're just gonna check in with the latest from Jessie and Carolyn. And Jessie, I guess I'll start with you. There is a lot going on in our building these days. What's the latest?
Sure is. So September is kind of our big month for kicking off a couple Give the Library a Lift projects. So a smaller one is the awnings. For those of you who follow along on our Instagram page, you can see that we had our posted photos of our awnings coming down, or also for those of you who actually like walk by the library, you can see that the awnings came down. And they are currently getting, the framework is currently getting fixed if there are any broken parts, and then they're putting the brand new awning materials on right now. So they should be installed, I think not this week because of the holiday, but next week. So we'll have brand new awnings. So that's very exciting. It's a little thing, but it's a very exciting thing.
I didn't realize they were reusing the frames. That's cool that they're able to. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as the parts are fine, they'll reuse them. So it's just the material that wears out. And when you actually get up close and look at them, you really see the sun damage on them. Like, so actually once the new awnings are up, they're gonna look, so the color is gonna look richer. And I think it'll be really stunning. And then the other big project kicking off in about a week and a half is our elevator upgrade and modernization. So it's gonna be
been in the works for a long time.
It's 40 years old, so it's actually almost 45 years old. So it's been past due for a while. And so it's really exciting for us that we're gonna get to upgrade it. A few people have gotten the fun experience of getting to go down into the elevator mechanical room. I think both of you have, right? Yep. Amy, you have too, right? So there's the old relay switches that they don't even make anymore. You feel like you're walking into the 1970s when you walk into that mechanical room. So that's all gonna get upgraded. All the mechanics behind the elevator is gonna get upgraded. And then the interior of the elevator cab is gonna be completely redone. So it's very exciting for the library to know that our elevator will be updated and ready to go for another, number of decades out. So that kicks off September 21st, and does mean that our elevator is down for 5 or so weeks while that happens. And I know Carolyn was going to talk a little bit about what that means if anybody needs access to the library.
Yeah, so with the elevator out of commission, that means that the building will not technically be ADA accessible. But one of the tiny silver linings of our current situation with the coronavirus pandemic is that we're already offering curbside service, and we have already established. So we have curbside service in front of the library. We have it in all of our member towns, and we are already doing a really robust online and phone reference service, and we have moved almost all of our library services to a digital platform through our website. So while the elevator is down, accessibility will be managed via curbside service and via online and these various other formats for services. So we're going to meet everybody where they are. We do want to ask people that need assistance coming into the building or may not be able to access the building, just call ahead and let us know, and we will make a time with you to have a librarian meet you outside, or we'll arrange for another accommodation for services. And if there's an accommodation that we haven't thought of, let us know, because we're doing our very best to make sure that everybody still has access while the elevator's down. So And despite this hot day, we're already thinking about cold weather. So, and our ventilation systems, Jessie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So in terms of kind of ongoing things that we're thinking about with COVID and transitioning into the fall, there's been a lot of talk about, schools are settling back in, what that means for the fall. And so for us, we're constantly thinking about staff and patron safety, the safety of everyone in our building. And one of the important things is to make sure there's enough fresh air in the building. So it does mean we'll probably have a little more heat loss this year because we're planning to keep windows cracked or open as long as we can to let in outside air, especially the historic part of the building. So like the reading room downstairs and then the fiction room upstairs. There's no HVAC ventilation in some of the historic sections of the building. So it's really critical that we keep windows open, or at least partly open. And then in the rest of the building, including the whole addition where the HVAC system was installed, we'll have the dampers open to make sure they're always open to some degree, but we'll make sure that they stay open, drawing in outside air and keeping those areas really well ventilated. So that's one of the definite, tools that we have to make the building as safe as possible for everyone in it.
So many different things that you guys, librarians, think about that we don't think are part of the day-to-day work, but there's so much planning and logistics that you guys are always thinking about. Speaking of being inside the building, masks are going to be required inside public buildings for the foreseeable future. And so I'm just, Carolyn, I think our patrons have been really good about that, but I just wondered if you had any observations about how that's going.
Yeah, mask wearing in the library is going really, really well. Our patrons have been really respectful, and in most cases, they've been really proactive. So people that forget their mask, which does happen, or they leave it in the car or whatnot, we've gotten phone calls from people saying, "Oh my gosh, I forgot my mask, and I'm about to run in and get my books. Can you run them out to me?" And so we're accommodating it in every way that we reasonably can. We have had a couple of non-mask wearers come in, but by and large, that's easily resolved. We let people know that it's a requirement. It's now a mandate statewide. It is also an ordinance for the city of Montpelier, still currently in effect. And because we're a 501c3, we can set our own rules for entry to the building. We have a lot of discretion over that. And so that's a requirement that we would make anyway to keep all of our patrons and all of our staff members safe. So, but it's going pretty well. So if somebody can't wear a mask for any reason, we do ask, again, they cannot come into the building. So we just ask them to call ahead and we'll bring their materials out to them. We'll talk to them on the phone. We can send somebody outside where there's better ventilation and we can stand further apart from them. So there are plenty of accommodations we're willing to make for people. Another safety consideration that we have had to change recently is our quarantine practice. So we started out quarantining books for 3 days, and then we had to increase that to 4 days. And now we're at a point where the latest research that's coming out from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is the government agency that oversees libraries and museums, they're telling us that even after 5 or 6 days, you can still detect the coronavirus on a lot of commonly used library materials. So that's if you leave it to sit. You quarantine it. It's called natural attenuation. So at this point, for items that are on hold, we are going to start sanitizing the outside covers of those books. And originally we didn't do that. We did quarantine only because we were worried about supply shortages and staff time. We have hundreds of books returned every single day. And so wiping all of those down takes a very long time. But at this point, because that quarantine time is extending and extending and extending, we're going to move to sanitizing books that are on hold so we can get those high demand items out to people as quickly as we can. We're still going to give them a 24-hour quarantine to give the pages on the inside that doesn't hold the virus as long some time to attenuate. And then all other items are going to sit for a week. So we have upped our quarantine time for lower demand items or older items to a week-long quarantine. So
wow.
Yeah.
Better safe than sorry. And now as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing I'm touching my face, right? I need to, as we're
you always
all of these new habits. that I'm trying to be better about. Yes, and I guess that's where those plastic jackets, that the Mylar jackets on those library books really comes in handy in terms of sanitizing and wiping down.
It makes it so that we can wipe them down, but it's also the Mylar jacket that holds the virus longer, because it doesn't, it comes off of paper products much more quickly than it does off of anything that's glossy, shiny, or plastic.
Less porous or non-porous.
Exactly. So it's a blessing and a curse in some ways.
Wow.
Yeah. It would be interesting if it wasn't something that was affecting our day-to-day lives and also kind of, scary. If it was just a science experiment,
Right. All of the things that you guys are staying on top of, we really appreciate.
The other thing I want to make sure I mention while we're all together in this space is that starting next Monday, we're reinstituting library fines. So we've been fine-free for 6 months as an accommodation, obviously, with closures and quarantine times, and we were getting our check-in processes back kind of up and running and figuring out how everything worked in our new circumstances. But now we've got that mostly figured out. Things have seemed to even out a bit, and so we're going to reinstitute fines effective next Monday. Now, if people if people are quarantining, if they have significant concerns about going out into public, again, like reach out, ask us. We can make accommodations for most things. So.
Well, that's a comforting return to normalcy. I'll go back to paying my library fines. It's fine. That feels kind of good.
We have had people coming in and trying to pay fines, and we've had to go, we have no idea how much you owe because our system hasn't been tracking it. And so we've been getting donations, but it's it's just a different situation.
We should also mention that there's a new way to pay fines now that people are going to start paying fines again. So in addition to coming into the library and paying cash or check or debit or credit card, you can also pay, if you have a balance of over $5, you can also pay directly through Verso, through our library software. So when you're checked into your account online, you can actually see your fine balance, and then you can go ahead and pay it. It'll pay via PayPal. So just to give you a heads up on that, it won't give you that option if you have under $5, but if you have over $5, and that's a setting that we chose, but it's based on the fact that the library is charged fees off of those transactions. So we wanted to set a threshold that would make it convenient for folks, but also to kind of make it worth our fees, the fee structure. So
yeah, that makes sense. And it's here we are on Wednesday. It's the second day of school. Back to Montpelier schools. So what does that mean for our library?
Well, so Montpelier Roxbury schools are getting out about 1:30-ish. They release bus riders like 1:15 and walkers and kids getting picked up by parents at 1:30. So in prior years, we would have seen 75 plus kids come into the library after school all at once. So now we are operating on this reduced occupancy, and we only have certain parts of the libraries open. The children's library remains closed at this point. So we are treating kids like small adults. So they're subject to the same occupancy limits, the same times on computers, the same areas in the library. I have to let my dog in.
Jessie, what would you like to say about what's going on at the library or the school year starting?
Well,
that was quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll finish that one.
Okay. Well, so anyway, so over the past couple of days, we've seen some kids come in after school. They all understand that they can't stay for hours and hours and hours like they were able to previously, and they know that the after school space isn't open. And it's been pretty good. We had one enterprising young person who figured out how to get around our computer reservation software to give themselves unlimited time on a computer. And so I did. Actually, Nicole had to speak with that person. But by and large, it's been pretty good. We've had lots of kids hanging outside. What's that?
Was this one of your children?
It was not one of my children. No. Although they do know how to do that, but they wouldn't dare. So yeah, so it's so far so good. I mean, again, it's kind of heartbreaking because it was wonderful to see that rush of kids at the end of the day. And so I'm sure there will come a time when we see everybody again in that way, but But for now, it's going well for us, and hopefully everybody has made accommodations. With school ending so much earlier than normal, my assumption is that people have all had to make alternate arrangements anyway, so hopefully this isn't too onerous.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What else is going on at the library that you'd like to update our community about?
I mean,
Let's see. I know it's time for us to, Carolyn has been spending a lot of time thinking about our neighboring towns and the proposals for funding, preparing for town meeting day.
Yeah, town meeting day prep starts really early in the fall, and so we'll write a narrative report for each of our member towns. We'll write a statistical report saying, comparing how the library did this year versus prior years. Our Worcester paperwork always comes out first, so that's in process right now. I'm working on that funding. And then I visit all of the select boards in all of our member towns. That generally doesn't happen until December or January as we get closer to town meeting. But we do have to individually request funding from our 5 outlying towns and from the city of Montpelier every single year, because we're not a municipal library. So the way that we're set up, we have to do all of these individual funding requests, and we have to follow all of the rules for each municipality, and each one works a little bit differently. So it's a long and interesting process, but going around and seeing the select boards is always fun, and going through the stats and seeing like what we did this year versus prior years is always really, really interesting, and it's a good chance to let everybody else know how we're doing.
It's so great to have that investment from all of our towns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the other big piece, the municipal funding makes up about 50% of our budget, and then another about 20% of our budget comes from fundraising that we do. And so the fall is generally our big fundraising season. So we're sort of behind the scenes at this point, really prepping for that. And one of the exciting things this year is we've had some donations of artwork that we're going to be auctioning off, in addition with a few other items. But not only that, we've decided to keep some of the art that was donated to us. So we had one pretty impressive collection of artwork that was carefully cultivated by a donor who passed away. And she left that collection to the library. And so we chose to hang 9 pieces of artwork. So while the library's been closed and we've had, been able to do things in the building sort of behind the scenes, we've actually hung 6 pieces of artwork by Alexander Calder, the American artist Calder, and then 3 pieces by Arthur Secunda, also an American artist. So we're really excited once we can open up the entire library again to show those off to the public, because they're a pretty spectacular group of artwork. And then, like I was mentioning, we'll have this online auction. So we'll be sending the word out about that auction this fall. So we've got a fall appeal coming out. We'll have this auction and hopefully some other exciting things.
We should do a video of the artwork.
Yeah, we could do a video tour.
Cool. Yeah,
that would be fun.
There's a pretty sweet website now called Vermont Art Online that has it's like 360 tours of galleries that we can't go into right now. So maybe we could do a little Google 360 image and be a part of that gallery.
That would be fun, because we're going to get a little peek on that with TW Wood.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I wonder if that's what we're using. Yeah. So, excellent. Well, I think that's all we've got, and we don't want to take up too much of people's time. Anybody else have any other updates?
I just want to thank you all and thank the whole staff for just all of your, I know it's the overused pivot word, but my gosh, you guys, all of you have been just so flexible and creative and focused on accommodating our community however you can. So thank you so much.
Well, we couldn't do it without the support of a great board. So thanks to all of the trustees as well.
It's certainly been an interesting learning experience this year.
Vision for my year as board chair, I tell you that much. But
not our vision for finishing our first year as co-directors too. It's hard to believe we're only a year in, because I think the last 6 months felt about, I don't know,
a decade.
Yeah. But yeah, we're happy to do it. Well, thanks, Amy. It was a pleasure to have you join us.
All right, bye.